Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Happy Canada Day out there to all you who celebrate Canada Day. I am joined once again by Mr. Jim Bricker. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. And you?
Well, for a Canada Day Monday, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Having a nice day off and just weather's a bit overcast today, but you know what? We need the rain. We're going through a bit of a drought here in Alberta.
Send
Um,
it, send it our way.
I wish I could. I wish I could. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have a fun show today. Okay. No
Shoot,
heavy,
now we got something to live up to.
there you
Gosh
go.
darn it. Come
No
on.
heavy thinking, no heavy sort of, contemplating. Welcome to our first episode of 2024. So far, so good, where we are going to be talking about, Jim and I are going to be talking about various albums that we've either listened to and we'd like you to pay attention to and check out, and albums, in my case, that I have picked up from you know uh, around February to now. Okay, and these are actual new releases that came out this year. These are not reissues of Jethro Tull or whatever. These are actual albums that came out in the year of 2024. So I have six to go through. Um, Jim has a list of quite a few to go
I
through,
do.
and we'll put the link in the description below if you want to go check out this list. But we're going to have fun with this show. So, to kick things off, I will pass the virtual mic over to Jim, and he'll start with his
Thank you.
selections. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Armando. So I do have a lot here, but I'm going to cover most of them fairly quickly. So I've got like three basic categories. And the first category that I'm going to cover is girl rock. Um, And, like I said, I've got a bunch here, but I'll spend a little bit more time going into the ones that I think deserve extra special attention.
Mhm.
Sort of my, cream of the crop of this category. And yeah, girl rock is like, the best catch-all that I could come up with. So
Mhm.
don't get too emotionally attached to it, people. Okay, so I'm just going to cover these alphabetically by the title of the album. Like I said, I'm going to go through them fairly quickly, but there's going to be a link below, right, Armando, for people to kind of check
Definitely,
out
I
for the
have the
list.
link, and we'll put it in the description so people can go check it out. And I know you guys love those links. So,
Hey, okay. So my first album in the girl rock category. Oh, shoot. Before I get into any of this, I need to give a shout out to my son, John, who is a big music head and who referred a lot of these things my way. I wish I could remember specifically a lot of the ones that he did, but John, I doff my virtual cap to you, my son. You're still in the will. Okay, so
good to
let's
know.
let's keep going. Starting off the girl rock category. The album title is called "Don't Forget Me" by Maggie Rogers. This is a really smartly crafted, like modern pop rock album, very much in like a Carole King vein. Um, to think about it of like this three-legged stool of folk, indie rock, and alt country, and that's kind of the space that Maggie Rogers occupies. Really fun, charming release. There's some emotional heft to it too, but all in all, it's a good sort of feel good and pick me up. The next one is also a good feel good record. This is called "Flying on Abraham" um, by a lady named Diane Birch. This album is really a throwback to like Carole King and Carly Simon of just really highly melodic and harmonic pop music. Um, Very unpretentious, delightful stuff. If you're in the mood for something, gothy and deep and introspective, this is probably not your record. But if you want something that's like light and fun and very high quality, Diane Birch, Flying on Abraham. The next one is by an artist named Tusks, like elephant tusks, and the album is called Gold. Um, I'd put this in the dream pop category. There's a lot of intriguing things happening melodically that to me just kind of transcend some of the boredom that I occasionally find in dream pop. But really worth a listen. I think if you're into the dream pop category, you'll find some gold in this one. No pun intended. The next one to cover is called I Am, um, and the artist's name is Alice Russell. This is a very soulful record, um, but it's got some rough edges on it too, and but yet there's enough of a soul kind of sheen that you can almost call it smooth, but not like smooth jazz. It's not like Luther Vandross kind of stuff. I'm talking like gritty soul, like
Okay.
old Otis Redding, or some of the categories or territory that like Amy Winehouse, would have mined and did mine back in the day.
Okay.
So there's enough retro in this release to really make it accessible to both old ears like mine and younger audiences as well. Passionate vocals throughout is some really great stuff. Alice Russell, I Am. Um, Next one I have here is called Lives Outgrown by Beth Gibbons. Beth was part of Portishead and Rustin Man. Um, it's a really beguiling kind of album. There's a lot of unique stuff to it, but very accessible. I think I remember listening to one of her other albums that kind of just left me a little cold. This one has got more of an emotional warmth to it, and good. I recommend a listen on this one. It's worth spending the time to see if it's in your wheelhouse. Um, the next one is called Love in Constant Spectacle by Jane Weaver. Um, and for this, it's just this weird dichotomy of a record where you've got something that's sonically warm, but it's also got kind of some sharp edges to it. Um, is it downbeat indie rock? Is this lo-fi? Um, I'm not sure where to categorize it, but it's a really, really fun listen, and I enjoy going back to it. It doesn't quite put it in the upper echelon with some of these other albums that I'll mention, the four that I'll mention, but it's really, really well done. Um, Second to last one of my quick blasts category is This Ain't the Way You Go Out by Lucy Rose. Um, was a really surprising uh, pop record to me. I kind of think about it as Joni at her most popish, but also most consternated. She's got some angst going on, this Lucy. She's got some stuff to deal with, but it's very much in the wheelhouse of some of the classic female singer-songwriters that I know everyone is familiar with. So um, recommended as a
Mhm.
spin. And then lastly, Visions, which is the 2024 album from Norah Jones. Now, of course, everyone knows her from Come Away With Me, which is a fantastic record. But this is, it sure ain't that. For the most part, she's swapping six strings over 88 keys, and this is very much a guitar fronted record. Um, Themes of like love and loneliness, endurance. I mean, it's Norah Jones hasn't really left. She's still with us and still cranking out some really smart pop songs. And
Yeah.
I recommend this album for that. It's really, really good. It's certainly going to be familiar if all you know is Come Away With Here, but if Come Away With Me, but it's not a, you know, copy paste. So it should be familiar but new in the same vein. Okay, now for kind of the if that's like way too much for people, and again, the links are going to be below. Here's the four that I highly, highly, highly recommend. Um,
Mhm.
the first is by a woman named Julia Holter, and it's called Something in the Room She Moves. Um, I'm going to put this in the category of there ain't nothing else that sounds like this. There's a bunch of mini suites throughout the record. It's very dreamy and ethereal. Sometimes you've got straight up ambient type tracks, or you've got like soundscapes colliding with 21st century plain chant. Um, I've got, my notes here say it's avant chamber emo. And I guess if you wanted to sort of have like a quick tag to put in your head about it, that's how I would put it. It's kind of semi avant-garde, it's kind of chamber rock, but it's got a very emo rock kind of feel to it.
Mhm.
I guess for me, I'm familiar with a couple of Julia's earlier albums. And I guess to me, this has the kind of leap forward that Talk Talk fans would know about, going from It's My Life to something like Color of Spring. It's like hard to believe
Okay.
that it's the same band.
Okay.
And it's kind of a leap forward in quality, really highly recommended.
Mhm.
In fact, I would take a stab to say that, people who like the latter Talk Talk albums, the last three, might get something out of this Julia Holter record. It's certainly not derivative of those other ones, but I think there's just something in it that kind of strikes the same chord.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's Something in the Room She Moves by Julia Holter. Um, the second of my big four is called Night Rain by Arouge Aftab. Now, Arouge Aftab, it's really difficult to kind of describe her, but let me take a stab at it this way. Let's say you had a cross of Sade and Sheila Chandra, and there was a clone of them made in a laboratory that was owned by ECM Records.
Okay, now I get it.
So you've got this very moody, distinctive music that's very atmospheric, somewhat jazzy. Um, these are basically either jazz standards or pop songs or Pakistani tunes that are crafted as, in a jazz or pop palette. It's really phenomenal. And, it's sometimes just otherworldly. Again, it's like nothing else that's out there that I've heard. It's a really stunning listen. And there's a cover of Autumn Leaves on here, the jazz standard.
Mhm.
It's just stunning. Um, there's a number of folks who are kind of sitting in on this record in different spots. Elvis Costello, jazz pianist VJ Iyer, excuse me, is on there, and James Francis, who was a keyboardist with Pat Metheny's Side Eye Band for a number of years.
Mhm.
Whole bunch of folks are on this record. Rouge has quite a rep, and I think this album just sort of kicks it into the stratosphere. Again, top shelf recommendation, and I haven't bought my physical copy of this yet, but I'm sure going to. It's phenomenal. Uh,
Cool.
so again, that's Night Rain, like like how kings reign over a land, not like the rain you're getting in Alberta and that we
Mhm.
want in
Mhm.
California.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, that's good. Okay.
uh, Two more, and then that's the end of my category. Um, by Jessica Pratt. It's called Here in the Pitch. And I have a very sparse description for this, even though I recommend it very highly. Again, trying to come up with a description that someone can kind of get their arms around. Think about Julie London meets Angelo Badalamenti, but they were recording it in a branch of Sun Records Studios, but it happened to be located in Rio de Janeiro. So you've
Okay,
got like this,
that's quite the description there. Okay.
yeah, I mean, so it's part like late 50s chanteuse meets Twin Peaks if it were recorded in Sam Phillips Sun Records, but it has a kind of bossa nova vibe to it.
Hmm.
it on paper, it's like, what on earth are you talking about? This can't possibly work. But this is a really grab your attention record. Um, Very accessible. And, people have called her music folk, and she's like, this ain't folk music. But it's very hard to kind of pin it into, you know, any category.
Mhm.
Um, so Here in the Pitch by Jessica Pratt, it's one of these things where you really have to hear it to sort of get it, and my words kind of fail. Um, so my bad on that.
That's fine.
Um,
You're doing fine.
I hope you get a chance to listen to this, and maybe we could do a part two where you can say, okay, Jim, here's where you're wrong. But that's
Well,
another episode
yeah,
entirely.
no, that's another episode. We'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my last one is also in the category of I'm not even quite sure how to describe it other than it's just phenomenal. This is by a woman named Hannah Francis, and the album is called Keeper of the Shepherd. Now, I know that this is one that my son John recommended to me. Um, I This has a very strong backwoods Gothic country vibe to it. So think about it like an Appalachian Bobby Gentry, but yet it's it's hypnotic. The vocals are very haunted, but this whole thing is driven by this electric guitar playing and picking that's again quite unlike a lot of other stuff that I've heard. Maybe I'm just sheltered and don't get around much, but this really kind of opened my ears to, this new kind of playing. It's, there's songs that are an 11/8. There's songs that are like a two-step, country groove to it.
Okay.
Um, there's strings, there's choral washes, there's clarinets, there's I think there's accordion here and there. You've
Mhm.
got some tunes that, kind of bop into 5/8 just because they can. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really all over the place. But again, there's like this haunted emotional depth to it that is just undeniable. And I keep going back to it to try to get more out of it because it just feels like there's a richness to this record that's like every time you go in, you find something new to just go at. Um, so my kind of final tagline for this would be it's guitar driven indie electric folkish art rock,
It's quite the
and
description.
it's expansive, an expansive record, but it's also very intimate and you know demanding. It draws the listener in,
Mhm.
wanting them, to say, come and hear more. It's deceptively simple. But of the four high recommendations that I have on that list, Keeper of the Shepherd by Hannah Francis, that is the highest one. 10 stars from me, or five, or three donuts, or whatever ranking system we're going to use. So
Donuts. Okay, that's good. That's
so
good.
that's my girl rock category. There's 12 albums in all there. There's four of them that I really highly recommend. I mean, they're all great, but four that I would just put at the top of the list if folks wanted to check things out.
That's good. It's quite a category. Um, so I'm gonna continue with my some of my selections because we're gonna go back and forth here. So I'm gonna give you, and I'm gonna save one especially for last. Because
Okay.
it's a good one. But my selections go basically all over the map in terms of musical genre. But I'm gonna give you my first three here. If I may. We have here the again, forgive my stubby little fingers, guys. Um, the latest release from Pet Shop Boys called Nonetheless. released April 26th of this year. This is their 15th studio album, I believe. This is a follow-up to their release Hotspot, which came out in 2020 through Times2, Parlophone, and Warner's Records, through Warner Music in Canada and the US, featuring the lead single Loneliness, which is very good. If you know Pet Shop Boys, West End Girls, Opportunities, Let's Make Lots of Money, what have I done what have I done to deserve this? This continues in the vein of the dance pop field. This is the special edition version of the album where you get a second disc. Again, a little shout out to the record company. Why couldn't you put all the tracks on one disc? Why? It makes sense. So you have on disc 2 four re-recordings of past hits. Heart, Being Boring, Always on My Mind, which if you were in the clubs in 1988, 87, 88, this was an ass shaker of a track, especially the Always in My house mix.
Mhm.
God damn, that was a good track. And on the second disc, you have again Heart, Being Boring, Always on My Mind, and It's a Sin re-recordings. Uh,
Mm.
Fantastic album for anyone that wants to go out to the clubs and shake their asses for a bit and have a good time. This one is for you. Nonetheless, Pet Shop Boys.
I
Yeah,
have a question.
go ahead.
So the re-recordings,
Yes.
do they add anything? How does it compare to the originals?
I personally prefer the originals
Okay.
myself. But if you want the re-recordings, they're there for you. Again, there are only 4 re-recordings. I do not know why Parlophone or Warner, you know, or their own label Times2. I don't know why they didn't put them all in one disc. It could have fit. You know, you had
Hmm.
79 minutes and 59 seconds of playing time. It could have fit on one disc. But you know
Gotcha.
what? A record company will try and sell as much copy as they can a different product. So, um, next up here, and I'll do my 3, and I'll go back to you for your other category, and we'll go back
Bunch.
and forth.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one here, One Hand Clapping, is the new release from Paul McCartney and Wings. This is a double disc, 26 recordings. This was recorded in August of 1974 at Abbey Road Studios, what would become Abbey Road Studios. This was just after the band had released Band on the Run. This featured the 2 new members at the time, Jimmy McCullough and uh God, his name is escaping me now. Jeff Britton on drums. Um, it is a fantastic snapshot in time of the band in Abbey Road Studios. It was recorded over 4 days. Again, not much to the artwork, as you can tell. You know what I mean? But it was what it was. This was released as a TV documentary at the time, I believe back in 1980, back in the early 80s.
Hmm.
There is not much to the artwork here, you know, but you know what? It's a good representation of the band of where they were in 1974. They were having fun. You can tell that they're having a lot of fun on this album. Um, and I'll just give you some of the track listings here. It starts off with the instrumental One Hand Clapping, then it goes into such hits as Jet, Soily, Sea Moon, Little Woman Love, um, Maybe I'm Amazed, My Love, um, Bluebird, songs like that. Really good recording. The vinyl version has an additional 7-inch of 3 tracks per side, but those tracks only like a minute and something each, 2
Hmm.
minutes. So they could fit on 3, on both sides, 3 tracks per side. And both these discs range in price between 26 to 40.99, something like that, Canadian. So not bad. My final one, again, this is going to run the gamut. My final one for my first set of selections here, and I actually forgot I bought this, but you know, Here you have the latest release, solo release from Bruce Dickinson, the Mandrake Project through BMG Management label. His latest project. What can you say about Bruce Dickinson? Very bombastic, very layered guitars, a lot of harmony guitars, a lot of brutal rhythm guitar on this. People have complained that he is not able to hit the high notes anymore due to his voice, having issues with his voice. But you know what? I don't know what part of his body he had to grab in order to get those vocal notes, but and hit those octaves. But you know what? He's able to do it, and this is a good, hard-hitting album if you just want to just basically head bash for whatever time that you want to head bash for. So
So is it a metal album?
yeah, pretty much a metal album. Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll show you it. It opens up. It comes with the lyrics, but I will show it to you just briefly. It's pretty much a concept album. As Bob enters the room, guys. Sorry. So here you have the inlay of the album. And say hi, Bob.
Hey,
And
Bob.
hello. And there you go. Good album again, released through BMG Music Management. Very hard hitting, but also at points can be melodic at times with certain
Hmm.
different passages and things, but very good. So that's my first three.
So I have a number of questions. I'm not familiar with Bruce Dickinson at all. I mean, clearly Paul McCartney and Pet Shop Boys, those were pop. Was Dickinson part of some other band that I'm just not familiar with, or what's the 1 minute backstory on Bruce?
Bruce Dickinson. So just he was a member of I want to say Saxon. It's not Saxon. Um, but he's basically been lead singer of he has been lead singer of Iron Maiden since 1981.
Oh, okay, all right.
They got rid of their well, actually 82, sorry. They parted ways with their first lead singer because it just wasn't working out for them. And they met up with, Bruce Dickinson, and you know, the rest is history. They went on to have a, successful career together.
Sure.
But
Iron Maiden I've heard of.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, if you want bomb for this album, the Mandrake Project, if you want bombast and heavy guitar, crashing guitar chords and a lot of harmony guitar and heavy drums, this is for you. So,
Cool.
so back to you, my illustrious co-host.
Back to me. Okay. Uh, this next category is jazz, world, classical. Um, and oftentimes they're like that because you've got one album that encompasses all three. Um, so again, this is a pretty beefy category, and I'm going to go through a third of them pretty darn quickly. Um, the first is an album called All Gist by James Elkington and Nathan Salzberg. This is a guitar duo album with small augmentation and percussion and keyboards and whatnot. It's this would not be out of place in like a mid 80s Windham Hill style release. And I don't mean that as a bad, it's not a pejorative to me. Windham Hill definitely has its style, and this kind of has that same joyous and sprightly kind of feel that a lot of Windham Hill records have. So I think Elkington and Salzberg have 4 or 5 albums under their belts. So and from what I've heard, this kind of continues in that vein. It's a nice record. The second one, I'm going to butcher this because the title is in French. Après Foire, which is one of 2 albums released in 2024 by Brad Meldau. solo piano work, performing compositions by Gabriel Fauré. And also, as Brad Mehldau is wont to do, he will compose and then perform his own pieces that are inspired by a certain artist. He's done this on his last several records. It's some really captivating stuff. Again, if you like Brad Mehldau, I think you're going to like this one a lot. If you like classical piano, I'm sure you'll like this too. If you like your jazz with a little classical tint to it, I think this is in your wheelhouse as well. Um, this next album definitely is very difficult to categorize. It's called But Who's Gonna Play the Melody? And it's the by bass players Christian McBride and Edgar Meyer. Now, this album is a straight up mash of jazz, folk, classical, and bluegrass. Christian is just been a master of acoustic and electric bass for a couple of decades now, and Edgar Meyer has really sort of stood a hard claim to breaking down barriers between classical and bluegrass. He's done a number of duet and trio albums with everyone from Yo-Yo Ma to Chris Thile. So again, this is two double bass players just going at it. There's some stuff here it's groovy, very lovely and lilting, and there's stuff that's just like some stonking hard bebop in here as well.
Mhm.
Like a fantastic record. Recommended. Um, Definitely, even if you're just not familiar with how uh, deft and detailed bass playing is, it's a great listen just for that, just to kind of
Mhm.
open your ears. Um,
Cool.
Eagles Point is the next record by Chris Potter. He's the leader of a killer trio that includes, quartet. The backing trio is, these are all band leaders in their own right. Brad Mehldau, John Patitucci, Brian Blade. I mean, this is like um, you know, why does the phrase skip my head like a super band, a jazz,
Super
super
group.
band.
Super
It's
group.
like a jazz super group. It's just crazy good, very traditional. But Potter's tone is like so clean and crisp. His bop is just so darn pure. It's a fantastic record, but not as fantastic as a bunch of others. Um, New Blues is my next recommendation by a young man named Joel Ross. This is his fourth LP as a leader. Joel Ross is a vibraphonist. And this is very much in the traditional jazz mode of like 50s and 60s. This is not, not just like a blowing section like you would have with Coltrane, where he just states a theme and then goes out for 15 minutes. Um, it's very much in that old traditional vein of, you've got the head, you've got soloing, but there's a lot of distinctive and robust work here by Ross and the guys that he has on the album. Um, I tried this on a whim and I really enjoyed it. Um,
Mhm.
New Blues, Nublues, all one word. The next is Old Main Chapel, which is another bit of a super group. The leader is Ron Miles with backing of Bill Frisell on guitar, and again, Brian Blade on the drums. Um, this is just, chamber jazz at its highest, highest possible peak. Ron died a few years ago, but he was a very, very distinctive trumpet player, and I don't think he got all the recognition that he should have in his lifetime. He's done a number of records with Frisell and Blade, and their interplay together on stage is just highly, highly connected and locked in.
Mhm.
Really great. Um, Speaking of connected and locked in, leads me to my next recommendation, the Chick Corea and Bela Fleck album called Remembrance. This is the third duo album from the two. Chick Corea, as you know, passed away a couple of years ago, and he and Bela were very close. These were um, recordings that they had intended to put together as an album. Sadly, Bela didn't get a chance to get to it until after Chick had passed. But it's, these guys are just fearless on their instruments, and that
Mhm.
really carries over here. Always just stretching boundaries, and it's like categories just go out the window with these guys. Jazz, classical, bluegrass, it's all here on this record, and it's just wonderful. Um, Staying alphabetically in the titles leads me to my next recommendation, which is Rhapsody in Blue, which is also by Bela Fleck.
Yeah.
Um, Now, um, it's an album with 5 tracks, and there's three different versions of Rhapsody in Blue on there. The one that's called Rhapsody in Bluegrass, which is a bluegrass arrangement of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, stunning, absolutely stunning, and well worth seeking out this album just to hear that arrangement of that classic piece of music. Fantastic. Rhapsody in Blue, Bela Fleck. Um, Next is The Sky Will Still Be There Tomorrow by Charles Lloyd. Charles Lloyd has been around forever. He's kind of like the elder statesman of jazz saxophonist and flautist, because he does both of those. Again, it's another like super group album with Jason Moran on piano, Larry Grenadier on bass, and once again, Brian Blade on the drums. Um,
Mhm.
this album just really goes over all kinds of territory within the palette of jazz. None of it is inaccessible. There's some of it that's very dreamy and ethereal. There's some of it that's kind of hard bopping, but it's just, again, you've got 4 players who are just at the top of their game, um, just putting together some music that they had been wanting to do since before COVID, but it finally took them like 3 or 4 years to get everything together and all their schedules to make this album, and it's a stunner. It's a double album. I don't think you could put all the music on one disc, so there's not that problem to deal with.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a phenomenal record. The Sky Will Still Be There Tomorrow. The last of my quick recommendations is from pianist Ethan Iverson, who was a mainstay of the band The Bad Plus for many years. And his solo album is called Technically Acceptable. Um, Again, it's a trio format. There's some tricky classical inspired tunes to kind of round it all out, but it's predominantly a jazz trio record that with the piano at the forefront. And Iverson is more than technically acceptable on this album. He's just a phenomenal talent. Um, okay, my quick blast. So now to get into the more detailed stuff. Um, The first is called Speak to Me by guitarist Julian Lage. And Lage at the end is spelled Lage. He's had a number of albums to his credit, and this is just kind of his most boundaryless playing. And I don't know if that has to do with the production by Joe Henry. Joe Henry has, a number of great kind of like, well, he comes out of school of kind of like T-Bone Burnett, but it's not quite as narrow as T-Bone is.
Mhm.
But he's a very distinctive producer, and his touch with Julian is just phenomenal. I mean, folk, bop, boogie. I mean, I don't know. He takes every type of category within jazz guitar, whether it's on acoustic or electric, and just really mines it for all it's worth. He's got some approaches to jazz on here that were unique to me, but again, it's very, very engaging and really, really great. The more I hear of Julian's playing, the more impressed I am. He's just a talent to be reckoned with. He's also one of the more modern mainstays of some of John Zorn's quartets. Um, so he's got that eclectic side going for him as well. But yet this album is, I'll say, way more accessible than your standard John Zorn recording.
Yeah. Knowing what I know of John Zorn, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, highly recommended. Speak to Me by Julian Lage. The second of my five, you really got to hear this albums, is The Room. The Room is a duet album off of Peter Gabriel's Real World label, and it's basically a duet between Fabiano Do Nascimento on seven-string guitar and Sam Gendel on soprano sax. This is kind of like your ultimate weekend afternoon chill album. It's just got such a heavy vibe to it, and it's so joyous and unobtrusive and delightful and melodic. It's just wonderful. I can't help but feel better when I listen to this. It just has that kind of effect on you. And again, this is another one, John, my son. Well done, young man. You were taught well. So I just can't sing this album's praises enough. The Room is what it's called. Number three is Compassion, which is an ECM release by pianist Vijay Iyer, bassist Linda Mahan O, and drummer Tyshawn Sorey. These guys are very much in that vein of like the Evans LaFaro Motion Trio or Jarrett Peacock DeJohnette, where they're just completely locked in with one another. It's the music is very sensitive, but yet they play across a very broad canvas, and everything that they're doing, everything that they're touching, is just very expertly approached. Each tune has its own little distinctive, uh, I'll call it a chamber of cohesion within it. So it's not like each tune is just repetitive of the one before, and it's like they've each got their own. We talked about this metaphor before, where you're going down a street and you turn into an alley and it's got this kind of character and timbre, or you turn into another alley and it's got that kind of character
Yeah.
and timbre.
Yeah.
So very much there's some real deep playing going on in here, and it's incredibly rewarding. Again, highly recommended, which is why I'm spending a little bit more time on them. Number four is an album called Asterisms by Sean Ono Lennon. Now, you guys will probably recognize two of those names. And yes, this is the son of John and Yoko. He's been a part of several music projects. This is his first album, I believe, from John Zorn's Zadok label. And this is Asterisms is an album that's like, I don't know, a meeting point or a bar where fusion and prog hang out. So is it kind of hackneyed to say it's like bitches brew rubbing elbows with Close to the Edge? Maybe, but that's again gives you kind of a feel of sort of what to expect from this record. It's very hard, like the saying goes, talking about music is like dancing to architecture. So, I'm trying my best to give points of reference to people to say, okay, if you take this and put it with this, that kind of gives you a general sense of what it'll sound like. Asterisms is 5 loose atmospheric tracks, and it was just surprising. I checked it out on a lark, and boy, I was really captivated by the whole thing. Highly recommended. You probably have to seek it out, but it is on streaming services and whatnot. Again, well worth the time. Last one in this category is again an album by Brad Mehldau. and it's called After Bach 2. So he did a previous album called After Bach, which is his running through some of Johann Sebastian Bach pieces, and then he'll do like his own improvisations inspired by that Bach piece. And this just it's an simply outstanding album. It just obliterates all lines between classical and jazz,
Mhm.
and it's just such deep and rewarding listening. I just wish I had more time to kind of sit with it because um, it's just got that perfection of Bach and that feel that Meldau can just wrench out of things. Incredible. I mean,
Mhm.
everything I like about the Après Foire record that I recommended before, this is just double that in terms of what you get out of the recording. So, After Bach 2 by Brad Meldau is my final of the big jazz list. And that's a lot there. It's a lot of yakking. I'm taking some water. Help me out here, brother.
That is a lot. That is a lot. Those were good selections, Jim. Thank you very much for that. Very much.
Sure, I know it was a lot, but if y'all take your time and do a little digging, it'll really be worth it.
No, no. I mean, you know what? There's nothing wrong with finding out, you know, new musical avenues and new albums. I mean, what that's a good thing about music. Like I've said before, you never stop learning, right?
Yeah,
Some you like
true,
and some
true.
you won't. So, but okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to for my next one of my next three selections. We're going to be continuing in the heavy metal vein. This is an album from a band that I'm not really schooled on, but I do like this album. It is quite strong. It is the latest release from Judas Priest. Um, Fantastic album, fantastic cover. Um, Invincible Shield. Um, what can I say? Again, first of all, look at the cover. I mean, first of all, color galore, very strong, very sort of dominating kind of a cover. This is a special edition, the deluxe edition, comes in book format, as I show you here. And I didn't know this was coming out. I found this out on the day it came out. It was the Friday that it came out, and I, listened to it on YouTube. You can stream this on YouTube also. Sorry, comes with the as I've been one of the pages. My apologies, guys. Um, I'll show it to you. Just this is part of the booklet. The lyrics that come with it. You know, um, just fantastic. Very heavy hitting. Rob Halford is in top form vocally. He's able to still hit the high notes in terms of the F sharps, etc. The disc comes in the back cover. I'll show it to you here. Sorry. This is the proper way to do a deluxe format, like a album where you've got the CD in the cover, like in the slip here. You don't have to reach inside, the paper cover with stubby fingers and rip it apart, kind of a thing. Again, heavy hitting album, harmony guitars, heavy bombastic drums all over the place. Just a really good, this is the back of the cover here. A really good heavy hitting album through Epic Records. Um, Invincible Shield, please check it out. Um, I did a video of the album review for this album. Please go check that out. I know a lot of you did, so I want to thank you for that. Fantastic, you know, headbanging album. If you just want to, you know what? If you just want to forget your troubles for a few, like an hour and a half or whatever, that's the best thing too about this. Put on replay. Listen to it over and over again. Great album. Great album. So that's the first one of my second set of three. Next one here is the latest release from the Black Crows.
Mm.
Happiness Bastards. I love that title. you know. The Black Crowes are back, released through Silver Hour Records. Not a very long album, like 35 minutes, you know. The brothers Robinson have been able to put their differences aside and come back with a very strong um ass shaker of an album. You know, a lot of heavy rhythm guitar, a lot of harmony guitar, a lot of gospel type vocals from the backup singers on this album.
Hmm,
Um, but again, you know, Chris Robinson, in terms of his vocal ability, top notch, has not lost it. You know, people, you know,
great.
say the older you get, the deeper your voice gets, and you lose a bit of the range. You know, not very, in terms of the album cover, not very inventive, but you know what? They just wanted to come out with an album and just sort of just hit you right where it hurts in the pocketbook, right? So again, not a very long album, 35 minutes. You know, it's a good album for um it's a car album. Just put it on in the car, you drive along, you know, before you know it, your toes are tapping, hopefully not on the gas, because then you know you get hit the car ahead of you. But um, you know, it's a very good. I've always described the Black Crowes as the American Rolling Stones. That kind
Yeah.
of feel, right? That kind of feel. So, I mean, if you want a very good album that has good, you know, good vocals, great rhythm, great melody, this is one for you. Happiness Bastards and the Black Rose. And my last one of the three for this turn is this one right here. The latest from Lenny Kravitz.
Mm.
Electric Blue Light. Um, released to Roxy Records, his own label, through BMG Music Management, featuring the lead-off single TK421. This is funk pop confection perfection.
Okay.
He does all of the instrumentation on the album, along with his lead guitarist Craig Ross. I hear a lot of Prince influence on this album. He and Prince were major fans of one another and were good friends of one another. And he uses a lot of the Lindrum
Mm.
programming that Lindrum programming that Prince did, and you can hear it in the instrumentation of it. And again, this is the what they call. You know what, guys? This is for the record companies. When there are no bonus tracks on the album, why do you call this the deluxe edition or the special edition? This is a book edition. And again, for anyone that loves packages that are easy to handle, this is one for you. I'll show you just quickly here, just some of the pictures on it, or just a couple of the shots. And my phone is ringing, but who gives a shit? So there you go. Just if I can show you, hold on.
So the deluxe part of it is the
Just the
photographs and the
just the
packaging.
photos. Yeah, just the photos. So here you have some just a couple of the photos. Um, this is pretty much, how does he describe this album? His message for this album, through this album, is pretty much of acceptance and love and happiness, and just be it one with yourself and just enjoy your life. And he delivers. Just
All right.
amazing, just amazing. It's a really good album. It's a really good feel. It's a feel good album. It's the kind of album you put on like on a Friday night. You go for a drive, like in the summer. You got the top down or the windows down. This album is just coming through the through your speakers, and people can hear you as you're driving down this residential street. Just enjoying it. You're enjoying the night. You got really nowhere to go. You're just enjoying the night. It's a nice summer night. And yeah, it's a feel good album.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like if you're hitting the road, the Kravitz album and the Black Crowes albums are the ones to take with you.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want more of heavier sort of intense listening experience or a headbanging experience, the Bruce Dickinson and the and the Judas Priest are the one for you. If you want just a ass shaking, grooving, good time of an album and one to listen to in the car, the Lenny Kravitz and the Black Crowes are for you. So that is the end of my second set of albums to show. I'll pass the again virtual mic back over to Jim, and he'll continue with his.
I love the fact that you have props. I'm prop unprepared, but
Well, I usually don't have props. I usually will, just pop up the pictures, but which I'll do for
well,
you.
oh,
I'll,
thank you. I
I will do
appreciate
it for
that.
yours.
Do me the liberty, kind sir. That would be
Yes,
great.
I will. I still have the file. Yes, I'll do it for you.
Okay. Great. So my third and final category is rock, prog, and funk and soul, which is a catch-all for all kinds of things.
There you
So
go.
there's seven quick mentions and two, extra special mentions. So the first is not quite a double album, but it should have been. This was two albums actually released in April from a band called Dopapod. And Dopapod is in the Humphreys McGee, Goose, Fish, jam band, you know, semi-prog circuit. Um, they're two albums that they released, which are available via Bandcamp. So I don't think you can get this on Spotify, but Bandcamp is where you can find them. The two albums are called Ibo and Phobia, and they work very well together. It's not like oh, say, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, where they'll put out like four albums in a year and they're all like polar opposites of each other in some way. These two really work well together, jazzy, funky. Um, there's some, rock and tight song structures for these tunes.
Mhm.
Recommended. I'm going to be keeping my eye on this band. I think they've got a lot of great potential in what they put out there. Um, the next is the latest album from the Decemberists, called As It Ever Was, So It
There's a
Will Be
name I haven't heard
Again.
in a while.
Yeah,
The
this
Decemberists.
is this is a it's their typical quirky chamber pop. It works. It's everything you want from the Decemberists in terms of this wonderful thing that they produce that's just no one else is able to kind of touch the whimsy and the creativity that they have. um uh another high recommendation there, the new December's album.
And
um
sorry, I cut you off. I apologize. But the name of the album, the name of the album is
the name of the album is As It Ever Was, So It Will Be Again.
okay.
um the next one is the fourth album from the I guess I'll call them jazz funk quartet, the Fearless Flyers. Fearless Flyers is, if you've not heard of these guys, boy, howdy. It's another super group. Um, Joe Dart and Corey Wong from Wolfpack, along with Mark Lettieri, who's a member of Snarky Puppy, in addition to having his own robust solo career. And then ace drummer Nate Smith, who does more with a snare, a bass drum, and a hi-hat than any human should be able to do.
Mhm.
Nate Smith is just phenomenal. Um, their latest album was actually recorded live at the Blue Note in New York. 6 tunes. I mean, if you're familiar with the Fearless Flyers, this is like totally going to be in your wheelhouse. Um, so it's familiar ground, but it's like so tasty that, you know, who cares that it's like I got exactly what I expected, because it's just so good. Um, I love these guys. I hope to get the chance to see them live one of these years. The next band is Crowded House, and their 2024 release, Gravity Stairs. It doesn't reach the heights of their, classics from 86 and 88 and 91, but it's still a really, really tight record. And I've enjoyed this more than any of the past, say, four or so Crowded House records. I kind of lost touch with them after Woodface, but this this one does very nicely. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Gravity Stairs by Crowded House.
Yeah, I lost touch with them after Woodface as well, and I know that Neil Finn joined Fleetwood Mac for a bit and
Hmm.
as a touring member, but that's good. That's a good one. Okay, I gotta
Yeah,
check that one out.
it's well worth checking out. The next is about as 180 degrees from Crowded House as you could get. This is from the band Bass Communion. And Bass Communion, if you're not familiar with it, is basically a Steven Wilson side project where he explores the most ambient of ambience and the most dronishness of drone music and electronic bleeps and whirls and sound effects. Um, there's a number of Bass Communion albums. I think there might be eight, and this is the latest. And again, it's much like the Fearless Flyers. If this is your wheelhouse, then boy, are you going to like this. I think it's really fascinating stuff. But again, you got to be in the right mood. If
Yeah.
definitely kind of the poppy things I was talking about earlier, like Diane Birch, doesn't sit well with Bass Communion. Even though they're close in the alphabet, they're very polar opposites musically. But
Mhm.
again, it's a great release and nice to see. Always a treat when Steven Wilson is putting out new music in whatever form or shape it happens to be.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Next one is the latest album from Big Big Train called The Likes of Us, which was a surprising album to me. I've kind of flirted with Big Big Train and sort of failed to sort of really connect at any point with their previous albums. English Electric was close,
Mm.
but this is the first one I think that's really grabbed me. And I think um, I can appreciate now more what they're bringing into their music and how they're carrying that prog rock ethos forward. Um,
Mhm.
Really, really good stuff. I enjoyed this one quite a bit, and I'm going to spend more time with it. Um, the last of my quick hits is also in the prog category, and this is from the band Tuner, and the album is called Tuner for Lovers. Tuner, for those who don't know, is comprised of half of King Crimson from the early 2000s. So it's Trey Gunn, Pat Mastelotto, and then another gentleman named Marcus Reuter. And Pat and Marcus have been making music together along with Tony Levin as the band Stickmen for a good 10 plus years. So if you like your um, improvisational and composed prog very much in a Crimson-esque wheelhouse. Again, highly recommended record. These are in concert improvisations that they've sculpted into 14 tracks. Really, really good stuff. Recommended. However, my two big recommendations are to come. And the first one is called A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs. This was a band that I had heard of and was kind of like interested in just a little bit. But again, to my son, John, thank you for saying, Dad, you got to listen to this. It's just power pop. If you love Jellyfish, you're going to love this record. It evokes every wonderful thing of the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Badfinger, the Knack. It's all here, and it's a fantastic record that is just tight, harmonic, fun, uh, toe tapping. Um, like a lot of power pop stuff, it sounds, perfect in the summertime. So if you're done with Kravitz and the Black Crowes, put in this Lemon Twig CD and drive around for a while. It's just wonderful stuff.
Hmm.
Highly recommended. A Dream Is All We Know. And the last, um, this is probably one of my strongest recommendations, but it's also going to be my shortest on descriptions. It's from the band Ghost Note, and the album is called Mustard and Onions. This album is high octane dance funk. And my only other notes on it, Armando, and as a hat tip to you, it's an ass shaker.
Okay.
Unapologetically, you cannot help but just get every zone of your body moving in some way, shape, or form. Um, Mustard and Onions by Ghost Note. Oh,
Okay.
James Brown would be proud.
Okay. Cool. Cool. It's quite the list there.
It is quite the list. I'm, and again, this isn't like everything I've listened to in 2024. I did prune this back, but there's really an embarrassment of riches out there. I know there was a recent Rick Beato video where he's like, this is pop music, and it's horrible and awful and whatnot. And I tend to agree that a lot of the stuff that you would find at the top of the charts, or just getting whatever radio play that exists these days,
Yeah.
a lot of it is just not for me. But mining these different veins and just staying connected with different websites and people who I've gotten to kind of trust their opinions on things, I'm really finding a lot of great stuff out there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's like what, 12, 15, that's 17, 9. I think there's like 26 odd albums, 36 albums on this list that I put together. Um, it's a lot, but especially the ones that are in red that Armando's going to provide the link to below the Google Doc. Um, Check them out. There's Songwhip links and Bandcamp links, YouTube as appropriate. Um, check these things out, and if it's you might stumble onto a new love.
Well, yeah, that's just it. I mean, there's always there are always new possibilities out there for music, right? And
Oh yeah,
you know, but we must continue, ladies and gentlemen. For my last selection, this is a special package that arrived. When did it arrive? Friday, I believe. Um, I wanted to show it to you because I'm quite
show and
excited about
tell.
it. I wanted to show it to you. I'm quite excited about it.
Bring it on.
It is this package right here, ladies and gentlemen. The latest live box set release from Dire Straits, live 1978 to 1992 through Rhino Warner Records. You can get this on direstraits.com. Get more information. You can get this on Amazon. Uh, their live releases from 1978 to 1992. What is the pinnacle for this collection for me is this bad boy right here. The reinstated full edition version of Alchemy Live. I said on the previous Dire Straits video, my brother-in-law Mario had this on cassette, and I first heard the live version of Sultans of Swing. Bloody blew my mind out. I swear to God, just amazing. Here you have again the album that it's been redone and remixed many times. This is the full double album. You have 14 tracks in total. And I'll show you the inside. All of these albums have been CDs have been done with the original album art. I'll just show this to you. Whoa, something to okay. Little booklet fell out here. 1 second. Here's the booklet that comes with the album itself. I'll just put that there. Here you go. Again, I have not been able to listen to this as of yet, but I will because thanks to my illustrious co-host, we are ranking all of the albums of Dire Straits. So, and I do put the blame on you, Jim. Okay, there we go. This is about to cover. Also, you have here the in this collection, you also have On the Night, the live album from '93, double disc version of this album, 17 tracks in total. As I show you here too, hold on. There you go, guys. Forgive my stubby fingers, but there you go. There you go. All right. As I go through this again, with your patience, you have here a disc called Encores, which I do believe um, 4 tracks in total. I do believe that this is a tie-in with the On the Night live album because it has the same sort of artwork, same artwork from the album, just almost like a negative, as you can tell from the original cover. On this Encores disc, you have your latest trick, The Bug, Solid Rock, Local Hero, Wild Theme, 4 tracks. What's also included in this collection here are 2, I would say, special releases. You have Live at the BBC, which is a single disc. On this, you have how many tracks here? You have 8 tracks. Down to the Waterline, Six Blade Knife, Water of Love, Wild West, and Sultans of Swing, Lions, What's the Matter Baby, and Tunnel of Love. Down at the BBC. And what's in this collection, again, I have not been able to listen to this yet, but what's also in this collection is a double disc of Live at the Rainbow 1979 concert. So on this one, you have, again, Down the Waterline, Six Blade Knife, Once Upon a Time in the West, Lady Rider, Lions, Sultans of Swing, The Boys, Portobello Bell, News, What's the Matter Baby? That's disc 1. Disc 2, you have Setting Me Up in the Gallery, Solid Rock, Southbound Again, where do you think you're going? Wild West End, Twisting by the Pool, not one of my favorite tracks, but there you go. Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, That's All Right Mama, so you have a bit of a medley going on there. Nadine and Keep on Knocking. So, and I do believe that Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy comes out as an encore. So this package, I wasn't going to get it. Originally, I was going to just get the Alchemy Live, but my illustrious co-host sent me the message. I guess you haven't seen this little bad boy, and I knew about it. I knew of the package, but I wasn't going to pay $200 for it. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to do it. I found this on Amazon.ca for $80
There you
directly
go.
through Amazon.ca. So I canceled the original order of the one Alchemy Live album, and I ordered this, and it came within 24 hours. So, again, don't take our word for any of the releases here that we're talking about. If you can stream them, you check them out for yourself, and let us know in the comments down below what you think of any of the releases that we have shown you today. And I mean, again, hopefully you found some new music to listen to, right? I mean, that's just it. Music is boundless, right? There's no limits.
Absolutely.
There's no limits as to what you can listen to. Hopefully we've covered enough of a broad range of genres here that you'll find something that will be to your liking.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you're saying, Armando, there's a ton of stuff to discover, and sometimes you just need to be open to recommendations and just try something on, see what you think of it.
Exactly. And again, we're not experts in in any shape, form, or
Oh,
fashion about music. We just know what we like, and hopefully we present stuff to you that hopefully you'll find interesting and that you'll like, you know. So that brings us to the end. Oh, one caveat, go on.
I have something that I realize that sort of fits in the same wheelhouse of Dire Straits as a recommendation, and that's also for 2024, but it's not a new album. I'm not sure how this is something I can show and tell about. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on the camera. And apparently it's not going to show up very well at all. So you're going to have to put an image in there, Armando. This is the
Okay.
latest Joni Mitchell
Oh, the
Archives box
asylum.
set.
Yes.
The Asylum Volume 2. This is basically the Jocko years. Um,
Yes.
Hygieia, Don Juan's Restless Daughter, Mingus, and the double album Shadows and Light. Um, all newly, freshly remastered for 2024. I wish the camera were working so I could show you how gorgeously they've reproduced the original artwork in their mini forms. Um, Shadows and Light actually comes with, slightly embossed covers and inner sleeves for the CDs, very similar to the original album release. And all the playing on this across the board is just outstanding. Um, it is well worth every penny. The Joni Mitchell Asylum years, 76 to 80, um, fantastic mix of rock, folk, jazz, world, um, um, some pretty peerless stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I just realized I happen to have it sitting to the side, and I just wanted to share.
That's fine. And seeing as how Jim is in the mood for sharing, and I'll put this image up, I'm also in the mood to share. I recently got a copy of Jethro Tull Bursting Out Live, the inflated edition, which I'll put up on the screen. I was told by my illustrious co-host that we were not allowed to show reissues on this episode, so it was just going to be new purchases. So seeing as how he kind of bent the rules, I'm bending mine right back.
Wait a minute. Hold
There
on.
you go.
I'm gonna throw a flag on the play here, my
There you
friend.
go.
The Dire Straits thing, is that not a reissue?
No, it was released this year.
Well, Alchemy's a reissue. On the Night is a reissue.
Yes,
Live
but
at the
it's
BBC has already been
okay. So we
issued.
both broke the rules. There we go. There we
But
go.
you were the first to break the rules. I tell you, I felt at liberty to
Well,
do
there you
that
go. There you go. No,
because
but I
you
thought
stepped
because this
into
was
it.
brand released brand new this year in this form, it's brand new. So
Well,
there you go. There you go, guys. Fights and all. There you go. Um, yeah, no,
boom.
this is the back to the Jethro Tull. This is the six
Mm.
disc, three CD, three DVD audio edition of the Bursting Out set. All remixed by Steven Wilson. He does a fantastic job. Comes with the in the book format, as you saw from the graphic, and with a abundance of information on the recording of the album. Also comes with it an additional concert done live at Madison Square Garden. You have the original concert that was done on the European leg of the Heavy Horses tour. 21 tracks on that in that concert, 16 tracks in the Madison Square Garden show. So you have an abundance of material and information to go through on the set. You can get it for something like $80 on Amazon.ca. As well, you can get, I do believe, the Joni Mitchell Asylum Years set for something like $76 Canadian on Amazon.ca. So
So
that's it.
that Jethro Tull set, that's really like 6 discs.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's a
is.
bargain.
It is because originally it was going for on Amazon.ca. It was going for, and by the way, if you go to the Jethro Tull US site, you're going to pay something like over $100. So if you can get it through Amazon.ca or Amazon.com, you'll get it for a better price. The original price for the Joshua Tell inflated edition of Bursting Out was $94.99. And I thought,
Okay.
I'm not going to get it any cheaper. They sent me a message saying, we're going to sell it to you for the $80 price instead of the 94. You get $14 back on the as a refund. Bonus, do it. So
Absolutely.
there you go, guys. An abundance of music to listen to,
Yes.
and hopefully you find something in this list that you will like and that you will um, um, either give it more than just a passing glance or something that you'll, you know, learn to love or, keep in your music collection. So
Expand your palette.
there you go. There you go. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And
Nope.
nothing wrong with giving something a chance. So, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Jim Bricker, I am Armando Venditti signing off for now. Please click like and hit subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that we've got coming up. We've got more shows in the can that we're going to do starting tomorrow, July, I was going to say June, July 2nd. We are taping first of three days of segments for our 31 Perfect albums, which is going to be airing later on.
Later on, yes.
Later on. And we have four people joining us in this panel. We have Jim, we have myself, we have Ken Cheshire, and Bill Schuster's making his illustrious return to the channel after being away for a few weeks. I'm looking forward to that. So
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
yeah, we've each, just a little side note, guys, we have put together our 31 perfect albums, top to bottom, all killer, no filler. Bill has said that he has come up with 60 albums that he has to whittle down to
He's still working
31.
on it.
Yes, he is. So he said to me, it was like telling which children you love the best. And given the way that, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, depending on the situation. So it's just the way it is, right? I
Okay.
like that, right? Um, so that's gonna be fun. We're gonna start taping tomorrow morning. We're gonna get as much done as we can over the next 3 days, uh, because we each have lives and things to do, but we're gonna get as much done as we can. So that's coming up. Uh, Bill Schuster and I have talked about we are still going to do new music discovery on the Tea Party. Bill wants to tape the episodes for that, so that's coming up too. So we have a lot of stuff coming up. I am doing an episode on Is This Prague, and I'm going to be talking about Queen 2. There I go, the shirt, right? Um, as you can tell. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for now. Again, please look after yourselves and one another, and we'll see you soon with another video. Bye for now.
Bye bye.